I want to talk through some of the changes that we made to the home page for when a runner or an organizer logs in. So let's take a look at this. I want to basically, this is the look and feel when nobody's logged in, or even when an admin logs in and they just need to make changes on the administration side. But when I come to this home page as either an event runner or an organizer, I would want to see different information. For an organizer, I'd like to see today's event with the event code that I could then give to all of the runners who have attended the event. They will then in turn use that event code to check in to today's run. So there'll be a little form here for anybody with the authority of runner to go ahead and either select their home location or have it pre-selected for them if they selected one during a registration process, and enter the event code. If the event code matches, we're going to go ahead and check them in. And basically that's writing a row in the event attendance table. So let's look at this. I'm going to log in as admin real quick. And to make this happen, I have updated our user Johnny here. And our user Johnny now has the role of runner and organizer because one person could be both. Just because they're in charge of the event doesn't mean that they're not running. In fact, they probably are running. So Johnny, when he logs in, he's going to see both the organizer section and the runner section. So let's go ahead and sign out of here and sign in as Johnny. So I'm signed in as Johnny. Oops, that has been happening to me. I will get that fixed up. But what's going to happen is Johnny now has the event organizer information here and the runner information here. So as an organizer, he wants to be able to tell all of their runners at the event what today's event code is. Now our event code service was producing these long UUID codes. It should be now using a much shorter event code. I think it's 5 to 7 digits or something like that. So they'll easily be able to tell or show all of the runners what today's event code is. Now as a runner, I want to come in and log in. So Johnny went through the registration process and selected his home location, and therefore we have it pre-selected. But if you needed to change it, or for whatever reason you don't have it set up as your home location in the user table, then you can just go ahead and select one. I think a future enhancement here is I'm going to add something to a check to say if they don't have a home location, we'll put some kind of link here because the user could come into the account settings and then go ahead and set up their home location there. So that'll be a future feature that we build into this. So now what they're going to do is they're going to enter an event code, and if it's wrong, so if we just enter something in like this and we save it, there is no run for today. If they enter in the correct code, however, we're going to go ahead and save, and you are checked in for today's run. So that's how everything's working from the front end, and I just want to walk through some of the code that we did to make this happen. So again, everything that we're changing is in that home component that we customized earlier in an exercise. So we've just added some stuff to this. So first we're checking, all right, do they have the authority role organizer? If they do, we want to show this div. And then we're we're basically using an ngIf to say, all right, is today's event populated? And now we won't build today's event if you're not an organizer, so it will be populated if you're an organizer. So I guess, I don't even know if we need that ngIf there, but it's there for now. We can always change that later. And so it's going to have the event details here, and it's going to have the date, location name, and the event code. If there is no event, then we're just going to display no events today. Next we have, do they have the authority of runner? If they do, we're going to go ahead and show this form. So this form is pretty simple, and I actually created a new model for this. So I'm just creating a simple model that has the location and the event code. I don't need the date because we can get today's date from JavaScript using the date object. So all I have is two things here. And I felt like it was overkill to use the RFB event attendance object because it gets pretty complicated as it has that particular object has sub-object or subtypes, and it just gets a little messy. So I did this. Again, we could probably clean this up later and make it a little bit better. So we have a form with basically the location and the event code. And now again, we're doing something similar we did in the registration process. Is we're going out, we're getting a list of locations, we're setting it to null so that they have to select something if there is nothing selected. But we also have this drop down that will loop over all of the locations. And I'll show you how we set this to the particular runner's home location if they selected that. So let's start to go through the home component and talk about all of this. So we have some things here like model, again, that simple model that I created with the event code and the location. We have an actual RFB event attendance object that we'll need to pass through to our service to go ahead and get that created in the database. We have a quick errors object and whether or not they are checked in. So we'll talk about this. Again, we're loading locations. And when we get the account service and we get the user, this is where we're going to start to do a couple things. So we're going to say, actually, let me jump down here real quick. So when we load the locations, we actually say, here's the locations. Go ahead and assign that to this .locations. And then here, when we load up the account service and we get our user, so we're getting the current logged in user, what we are saying is if they have a role of organizer, again, Johnny has both, so we don't want to have this as like an if else because it could be both. So if it's a role of organizer, I want to set today's event. If it's a role of runner, I want to set that home location. And the way that we do that is we set our model location equal to the current user that's logged in and their home location that is on that user object. Now again, after refactoring, I had to make some changes and kind of add that to the current user so that we have the home location there. But that was pretty simple. So now this set today's event is just a function in here. We're going to use the event service to find by location. And now this was something new that we kind of built in here. So we have a new find by location service, and it's going to call our RFB event resource, and it's calling RFB events / location and then the location ID. And what we're going to do here is basically go out and through the service implementation and the repository, we're going to find an event based on today and the location. So we know the location because it's getting passed in, and then we'll use just some code to figure out what today is. So when that comes back to us, we then set this .today's event equal to event. Now this is important because now we can display that information to the organizer. Finally, when we go ahead and check in, so this is a runner picking their location or having it pre-selected for them, entering in the event code, and then submitting the form. So what we're going to do here is we know the location. So we have the model location, right? So we're going to take that. We're going to call the event to service and say, I want you to find me an event for today. Again, we don't need that passed in. That's something we can do in code. So get today's date, and with this location, find me an event for today. So if we come back and there is no event, then there is no event, right? We can kind of check for that and display something to say there's no event today. If there is an event, we can say, all right, this event code, is it equal to what they are submitting in the form? If it is, let's go ahead and check them in. So we take that event attendance object and we push them in, and so that lays down a record in the database. If it's not, we're setting that invalid event code, we're setting the string, and we're displaying that in a warning label right above the form. So that's really all there is to it. That's what gets our home page and gives us everything that we need right on here. Again, we may come back and I'm going to refactor this probably after we're done with this course. We're going to do some things. I think mainly I want to display all of this information when you are not logged in. When you are logged in, I don't think we need to display like this title, this picture, and all this other information. I just want to show the event details to an organizer and then the form to a runner. So again, that's some things we'll refactor later, but I don't need to worry about that right now. So I hope this lesson was informative on how we kind of made changes to the home page based on who is logging in and what you're really here to do. So I hope that helps. And with that, let's move on.